Dom Giordano on Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.
Flash, welcome to Philadelphia. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for what you're doing.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm actually located in California, but I'm helping with squatters nationwide.
Well, the piece seemed to center in on Atlanta. Is that a particularly bad area?
Well, right now there's 1,200 homes that have been taken over by
1,200
squatters in Atlanta. So they reached out to me to talk about Atlanta specifically for that story.
So, Flash, 1,200 homes. This seems like an organized effort then.
Well, and that's why that article talks about, if we criminalize it, I'd be sending in the National Guard to take care of something like that.
Okay, so it is not, is it any kind, what's the theory? I've gone through this here in Philadelphia with people that doesn't make this a criminal act. You're stealing property.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, it just logically and just common sense would tell you it should be a criminal act. Squatter laws and squatter rights have been, unfortunately, they've been, adapted to today's society, but they were never intended to allow people to take over residential maintained properties. It was, originally we're talking 1800s when it was vacant, unmaintained land. And it specifically said, it was land that wasn't already designated by government. Mm-hmm. So, and now it just seems to be okay to, wait for someone to go on vacation and just move in their house.
Tell us where your YouTube channel, where can we find that? I think it's Outside the Box with Flash. Is that the YouTube channel?
Yes, it is. It's Outside the Box with Flash. You can always look up, at Flash Shelton, and Instagram is also at Flash Shelton. I just started a new Twitter or X page, and that's at Flash_Shelton.
So on this YouTube channel, my producer tells me you recently confronted a squatter in Beverly Hills. Oh, man. What was that like?
Yeah, I mean, it's the Beverly Hills one. That's, it's a party house. It's a bunch of young guys that have taken over this mansion, and they're selling tickets, $75, $100 a pop to get into this house for huge parties. They're disrupting the neighborhoods. They're blocking the streets off. And, the police really can't do anything. Because of these ancient squatter laws. So what do you do, Flash? What are some of the techniques? How do you get them out? Well, when it originally happened to me in 2019, they took over my mom's house after my dad passed away. I called the local law enforcement. I was about 10 hours away, and they told me that I had squatters and there was nothing they could do. So I just did some research and figured out, if tenants and squatters have more rights than the owner, then I would go in with a lease in hand. And if they had a fake lease, I would, compare lease to lease. But if they didn't have a lease, I would just go in as the squatter and assume their rights as soon as they left the property. Yeah, but this is where you got to be a pretty tough guy here, though. I don't think people easily necessarily are going to leave, right? Well, I mean, it's, if somebody's in possession, they're going to be a lot more standoffish than if, like in my case, I get them on camera immediately. And if I can do a lockout to where they're sitting in the driveway, the difference between a squatter being arrested and not is possession. So if they're in the driveway making a fool of themselves and I have possession of the property, they're the ones that get arrested. So we recently, Dan, I think this is the one you're referring to, had a Philadelphia man, that's how this got on our radar screen, who had to pay a ransom of $1,200 because the cops refused to help. Before you answer, I mean, the cops I know will do what they can to make it unpleasant. They may not be able to arrest them. We got people paying ransom to get them out of there. Yeah, and it's really sending I understand it, but, it's like it does send the wrong message because it's telling squatters that it's okay. And, the more we pay them, the more people are just going to figure, hey, let me just take a house, I'll get paid, and then I'll just move to the next house.
Flash, my producer Dan has a question for you.
Yeah, Flash, one of my best friends is a bartender at a local bar here, and he says that squatters have actually become a huge issue here in Philadelphia. It's not being discussed nearly enough, and it's because, I hate to throw a political question your way, but a lot of with progressive policies come squatters' rights being prioritized over the needs of renters, over the needs of owners. Is this a trend that you're seeing nationwide, and is that contributing to this heightened squatting?
Well, I mean, I don't believe that it has anything to do with politics. I mean, we'd have to go back to the 1800s to figure out, who actually voted on this or whatever. And, I just blame the people for allowing this to happen because, unless we stand up and take, make a change. And, it's like I started a petition. And, I find that a lot of people will complain, but they're so afraid to put their name on anything. And I don't know if that's politically motivated or not.
So squatterhunters.com, are there other people in addition to Flash Shelton that are involved in this?
Yeah, I do have a couple people on the website listed with me, and then I recruit, as needed. And I constantly have people that are applying to help. And I'm just looking for, the proper temperament. And, I come from, I'm trained, and I spent many years training bouncers, how to have the temperament for the job. And that's basically, I'm certified in de-escalation. So I'm able to go in and just typically you learn that you can get somebody who's intoxicated to do anything you want them to do with the right tone of voice.
Now,
and I basically use that with squatters.
You're in what state now? You said you're on the West Coast, right?
Yeah, I am in California.
Okay. I wanted to put on your radar screen. It's pretty famous here on the East Coast, where I'm from, South Philly. Have you ever heard of South Philly?
I have. I've never been there, but I have.
Got some people down there that would be more than happy to help you out.
We have guys
Flash.
with no necks who are good at de-escalation.
Most of Philadelphia's bartenders come from South Philadelphia.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Flash,
right.
Thank God you're out there. What do you charge when do you charge travel expenses and whatever? What do you charge for someone desperate to get help?
To start every situation, I have to, look into it and get the details. So I typically ask someone to make a contribution to squatter law change. So I ask them for a $150 contribution. Then I basically donate for 40 minutes of my time on a Zoom with them, talk about the details, and then we determine at that time if I can physically help them or I can consult them and how to do it themselves, or if how many guys I would need, and travel, all that stuff. So yeah, there's typically they'll pay because obviously my guys are no one's doing it for free. And there's a safety aspect, so I have to look at all the details before I can make a decision. And then they're covering expenses, and in a lot of cases I can just consult with them, and in most of them they're just being able to talk to somebody and understand the situation gives some people peace and kind of just helps them through it.
Parting question, though. Do you knock on the door and say you have a lease? Is that how it starts, or does it depend? I mean, what's the typical thing that you do?
It depends. If it's someone that they say, when I scope it out, if they're never leaving and they aren't going to a job and they aren't going to the store and they're ordering in, things like that, then I'll do what I call it a squatter intervention. And you can see one of my videos where I did the Umami Burger Founders squatter intervention in Hollywood Hills, to where I'll literally surprise them. I'll go up and I'll just say, I understand you've been squatting in this house, and I'll interview them and talk to them and tell them what my intentions are. If they leave the property for any reason, then I can just switch places with them, and then they can try to get their stuff back from me.
Unbelievable. So there's got to be a TV series, somebody in cable somewhere. This is Dog the Bounty Hunter of a different sort. Is that happening?
Yeah, I'm working on that.
I can scope it. Well, good for you. We love to have you here in Philadelphia because we need you, and I will encourage people. We'll put this down as a resource, squatterhunters.com. Flash, thank you, and I hope that we see you here sometime soon.
Appreciate it, and hope your listeners can, if they can contribute, but at the very least, just sign the petition.
Exactly. Thank you, Flash, very much.
All right, thank you.
Dom Giordano, weekdays noon till 3 from Talk Radio 1210 WPHT.